On today's episode of the Duck Zone 503 podcast, we're going to preview the defensive back position group heading into spring ball 2023. I'm your host, Dominic Peterson. This is the Duck Zone 503 podcast where we talk all things Oregon football. Whether you're a first-time viewer or a long-time viewer returning to the podcast, kindly ask that you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps with the algorithm with the video, promoting the video through YouTube. But most importantly, guys, telling your friends and family about the podcast, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your cousin, your step cousin, your goddad, your godfather. I guess it's the same thing. Godmom. Tell them all about the podcast. Bring them to the Duck Zone 503 podcast. I really appreciate everybody who's locked in here on YouTube. But most importantly, guys, you got to be locking in on Instagram and Twitter at Duck Zone 503 is the socials to get the quickest updates about Oregon football right to your phone just like that. All right, guys, I'm going to continue rolling out my spring previews for spring ball. As you know, the spring game is April 29th, 1 p.m. kickoff. I'll be there. Hope to see you guys there. All right, guys, let's get into the defensive back group. So the Ducks have a damn talented group of defensive backs here on the team, but they're going to need someone to step up big time with Christian Gonzalez leaving for the NFL as a projected first-round pick. Oregon's defensive back room is one of the more questionable parts of the team entering into 2023. Pretty much the defense as a whole is a big question. But we're gonna try to see if some guys can step up. It's a big part of spring ball is to see what guys have developed so far. Last season, Dan Lanning and the rest of the defensive staff could ask Christian Gonzalez to lock down one side of the field each week. But you know if you had the luxury of doing that, but you didn't know what you were going to get from the rest of the guys, right? It was very questionable. You had the luxury of having a first-round defensive back out there on the field. Oregon defensive back coach Demetrius Martin, is going to have to find a new leader to step up in his room big time. Because right now, there's no projected first-round pick, NFL pick in the room. Matter of fact, I don't even think there's an NFL pick in the defensive back room. I mean, you could slightly argue maybe Trikweze Bridges could be a late round pick, but man, these guys have to step up. Let's talk about the players that we're going to be looking to step up. Let's start with Trikweze Bridges, right? One of the most experienced defensive back on the roster. With experience comes leadership, right? You're looking to that guy to be the leader. Okay, he hasn't exactly been the most productive since moving down from his natural position as safety in 2021. I kind of would like to see Trikweze Bridges play more safety, but I get it. They're kind of thin at defensive back, so they moved him there. The staff is going to need to develop him to be more comfortable in the defensive back position, and it's important that they do, as the room will look to Bridges as a leader. I mean, Bridges is pretty much has the most experience there. He doesn't have a lot of experience at the defensive back position within itself, but if he's able to get another year, just kind of like Jeffrey Boss at the linebacker position, they kind of moved him from safety to linebacker. They're able to do that and get another year of film in, another year of developing at that position and getting more comfortable, as long as it's adapting the scheme, more of the scheme, another year of the scheme of Dan Lanning. I think these guys can start blossoming at those positions. It's just entering year one at a new position, it ain't the easiest thing to do, especially at the college level, right? Number 2, you got Dante Manning, okay? Enters 2023 with big expectations on his shoulders. He's the highest rated corner to ever sign with the Ducks, but yet he hasn't really broke through yet, okay? So he had a lot of expectations coming in. Okay, although he has battled injuries in 2020 and 2021, he put it together this last season. He's also one of the most athletic defenders on this Oregon team. He's shown flashes of his full potential, but he needs to get more consistent if he wants to take that next step. Okay, consistency is key. Consistency is key to getting to the next level at a defensive back position in college, no doubt. Because sure, guys can make a play here and there, but it's like, how often can you make a play? And then if you do that consistently at a consistent high level, quarterbacks are going to start to fear you. And then that's when you get into elite talk, right? And that's what we're looking for. That's what Christian Gonzalez was. Quarterbacks feared throwing towards Christian Gonzalez. They just didn't do it. And on this team, there's not really anybody in this defensive back room that really quarterbacks are going to fear. And against Pac-12 quarterbacks this year, you look up and down the conference, every team got a good quarterback, man. I'm talking every team. So you're going to have guys that can lock down. You're going to have guys that can lock down. The defensive front has not been the best. I get it. You're not getting any help there. Defensive front has been one of the worst since the 80s, matter of fact. But you're going to have to play better as a defensive back group, okay? We're going to have to get some development from these guys. We have a lot of athleticism. We got a lot of potential. We got a lot of speed. Put it together. Put it on the field. Third guy to talk about is Jahlil Florence. Jahlil Florence had a really nice role with the Ducks during his freshman campaign, appearing in 8 games. He's one of the faster defensive backs on the team with really nice size as well, 6'1", 191 pounds. You pair that with speed, Jahlil Florence has the potential to be something real special. I believe this year, with as much as he's played and how he looked in that bowl game, this guy's going to be good, man. I think Jahlil Florence is going to be a breakout player for this year, for real. It's just all about how fast can he put it together. Spring game is going to be a good one to watch to see how he does against some good wide receivers that Oregon has. Fourth guy to talk about here is Khyree Jackson. Khyree Jackson is one of 2 transfers from the Ducks that added from Alabama. Other guys, wide receiver Trayshawn Holden being the other Alabama guy. It's always good to get, guys from some of the best programs in the country, right? We're talking blue blood programs, Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, right? Some of these big time programs, get siphon off some of their guys from the SEC as well. Bring them over here to the Pac-12 in Oregon. So it's good. He definitely fits into Lanning's mold of a taller, more lengthier quarterback, standing 6'3", 198 pounds. So Jackson, if he can even put up half the production that Gonzalez did here at Oregon in 1 year, I think the staff's going to be pretty damn happy with that. So Khyree Jackson, Jahlil Florence, I mean, you're seeing it now. Khyree Jackson didn't put up big numbers at Alabama. I think he only had like 15 tackles and like a couple pass deflections. Didn't play a lot. But if he can develop himself a home here at Oregon, have a big role, kind of like Bo Nix did, came from the SEC and had a big year. You got Jahlil Florence, a young guy last year with a lot of speed, a lot of potential. And it doesn't end there. You got Jaleel Tucker, okay, signed with Jahlil Florence in 2022 for a classic dynamic duo out of San Diego, California. Both those guys coming from the same area. Both these guys resemble kind of the same type of player. Really, really fast corners, athletic, and can get up and down the field and cover guys. Tucker redshirted, and he should be an interesting piece of competition through the group duo that this group struggled last year, no doubt. And yeah, I get it. Part of the blame is up front, but still, the defensive back group within itself, we all seen it. It was not that good. So if these young guys can develop into something special and start making this room a strong part of the team, it only helps the Ducks moving forward, right? There's a couple more you guys to talk about. Vontae Dickerson and Darren Barkins. Okay, both players have been at Oregon for 2 years now. Neither have seen really the field much outside of special teams. You see them on special teams here and there. Both pretty slight of frame, don't really have a big bulky frame, but I believe Barkins, at least Barkins, can bring some value of a player because of his speed. Like I said, this room, if you had to look at the room and say what's the strong suit in this room, it's definitely speed. Okay, these corners are fast, very, very fast. Some of the fastest guys on the team are in this room. So a lot of things to look forward to and scout out. Hopefully, Oregon and the coaching staff can develop these guys to start popping out and being some big time players for the Ducks, right? Because a lot of these guys didn't really produce last year. The guys that we're looking for as leaders, Bridges, Manning. I have faith in these guys. I'm not saying they can't do it, but they haven't really showed much in the years they've been playing here. So if Jahlil Tucker, Jahlil Florence, right, like Khyree Jackson, one of these young guys can kind of break out and have a career year for themselves, that's going to be only good things for the Ducks, right? All right, so that's the defensive back group here. I'm going to keep rolling out these spring previews for you guys. I got other position groups on the channel if you guys want to go check out those videos. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Once again, I'm your host, Dominic Peterson. This is the Duck Zone 503 podcast where we talk all things Oregon football. If you haven't already, guys, hit that like and subscribe button down below. Really appreciate it, guys. As always, go Ducks. I'll see you in the next podcast.